Hey guys, and welcome to It's Our Podcast Show with Stephen and myself, Winston. Hey, how's it going? Well, today we have a special guest, Matt, from aka PIGG Radio, and he's been in the radio industry for around about, over 30 years, doing radio announcements, reading commercials, of course, radio and television. It'll be interesting to have an insight on what the industry is all about. And, of course, what previous work he's been doing and that kind of stuff. So what's more, he's a fellow Canadian. Stephen?
So, right. Being a fellow Canadian over there, he's waving the flag. Thank you very much for being your patriotic self, Matt. That's fantastic. But yes, he is a Canadian voice acting professional.
Please rise for your national anthem.
Oh, are you going to sing for us?
Is that Canada?
No.
So you've never sung the anthem on live radio?
No. If I was to sing, people would be heading for the exits really, really quickly.
Oh, dear. Okay, so that's why he's an actor.
Right? Couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. It doesn't stop me from trying, but no.
Notice I did say actor, not performer.
Yeah.
They're two different things, right?
You're a smart man. You're a wise man.
A professional voice actor.
Yes,
that's right.
I know my singing sucks, but I'm acting that I'm a great singer. And no, I'm kidding. Yeah.
So, because there's a note in the rundown here about shopping. Winston, what did you buy?
With the lockdown, well, actually, we're coming out of the pandemic, so I'm still kind of discovering all the different types of shops in Canada and stuff like that. But what better than actually doing online shopping? So I've been doing a ton of online shopping. I've been buying sneakers, smartwatches, electronics, clothes, everything, because I'm kind of standard fit anyway. So I'll just get my shoe size, I get my medium t-shirts or whatever. So online shopping, you can't beat Amazon, man.
Did you invest in ApeCoin or something? Because man, that's a lot of swag.
Yeah, well, that's it. ApeCoin. Well, actually, it kind of went, it went up crazy. It was like $20 odd. It went back down again. But it's one of those things when you have plenty of time, you could look into. We did a crypto show a couple of weeks ago, but I think we can go back into that with NFTs, because I'm still kind of figuring out NFTs. It's a bit, But yeah, definitely, if you got time, do some online shopping, get some great deals. In fact, Amazon doing some big discounts on all the electronics, all the electronics. 2021 is last year's, but it's still very good now. So any electronics, 2021, you can get some great deals on Amazon. This show
right on. And if you want to learn about crypto, I'm going to put the doobly-doo up here somewhere so that you can find out more about Winston's crypto knowledge.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. What about you then, Steve? What have you doing the last week or so?
Well, I bought this mic.
Oh, yeah.
What did you think?
That's really good. That's really nice. Definitely good sound and everything. What kind of brand is that?
Well, it sure is a good brand.
I see what you did there.
It was a bit of a thriller when I went to pick it up, because I was really looking forward to buying this mic. I had known about this mic for quite some time, but you may have seen it on other podcasts more famous than ours, such as the Joe Rogan podcast and many others, because it is a very robust mic that you can chuck in the bag and just throw into the airport check-in, and they should be okay at the other end. It's also a microphone that its predecessor, the SM7, was used by Michael Jackson for recording Thriller, among other artists. Tom Petty and a number of other artists have used this microphone as well too. There are other brands as well too, but this is kind of something that I feel is there's microphones that are thousands of dollars. This is a microphone, a sound that a normal person like myself can actually purchase.
So you're invested.
I'm invested in this one. I kind of did a roundabout way of getting this. I had a whole bunch of audio stuff that was kicking around since the pandemic, including a MIDI keyboard controller that I tried to learn how to use. I can't do MIDI. I can't do sequence. I can't do that stuff. So it hurts my. I can edit a video with 60 tracks, but I can't do music production. I just don't understand it. It's just so weird.
It's another world anyway. But
absolutely,
we're going to be doing another podcast regarding equipment to actually run your own podcast. Whether it's cameras, microphones, headphones is important as well. And we'll do a little show on that later on. So yeah, that'd be interesting. So
and we're going to
the
reference
computer.
this podcast back as well too, which is great because we have such a resource here, a 30-year veteran of the broadcast industry, who will be sharing some tips and tricks and nuggets of wisdom to kind of just start executing your own broadcast, even maybe a little bit of that pirate radio stuff that you were doing on the side there.
Yeah. So Matt, tell us, to all our followers and listeners, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what your skills are, of course, who you worked with and things like that. And of course, general insight of the radio and broadcast industry. So go ahead, Matt.
Well, as you said in your introduction, and thanks for having me, by the way, guys. This is kind of cool doing this. So I live in Halifax, Nova Scotia, out on the East Coast here. So 30 years is a long time to be doing radio and TV. And it's actually, I didn't know when to go. No, I'm kidding. I wore out my welcome. Lately, for starters, I took a 10-year break from broadcasting. And so when COVID hit, started watching, because everyone was kind of locked into their space, started watching a lot of Twitch and a lot of YouTube, and that was my way of kind of staying connected to people. And there's so many great content creators out there. I was watching a few of them. One of them in particular, EVGA, who has the computer company. They have all kinds of different guests on, whether they're computer people or model builders or DJs or whatever. One of their guests is Arabian Prince, who was with the group NWA and has since become an entrepreneur, has his own studio, does all kinds of things. Long story short, I was watching, they rated his channel, and I was watching him in the recording studio, and he's sitting there in this beautiful room that has a big console, mics everywhere. He's a huge SpongeBob collector, so there's SpongeBob things on the wall everywhere. But he sat at his keyboard, and he started creating a song live. And as he's going and he's hitting record on his digital workstation and doing his thing, it just lit that spark inside me, because I used to be a studio guy. I loved being in the studio, more so than being on the radio and just kind of playing some songs. And I liked going into the studios where they were creating things. So as I'm watching Arabian Prince do his thing, I thought, oh man, I got to dust off some of my equipment here. And it's just like seeing, maybe you didn't skateboard for 10 years and you see some kid out on the street doing flips, and it's like, it just tweaked me, made me want to do that. So, world's longest answer to what am I doing now? So that spark started me. I've done a couple of things for a couple of Twitch streamers now, including Funky Kit, recorded a couple of things. I think that was my first thing I did. Recorded a couple of things for the EVGA show that I watch as well. They made some comment about the two hosts were talking back and forth, and one of them called the other fella a rush hour renegade, like a radio announcer, right? And I thought, I should do them a rush hour renegade, couple of drop-ins for their thing. So it was like EVGA with Jacob Freeman, your rush hour renegade. And they got the biggest kick out of that. So I started doing more things for them. I recently did something with Robitech, first started one of their shows. It was actually for EVGA, but he was the guest on there. And he sent a message going, I like your voice. Can you do something for me? So it's really neat that I'm starting to, feel like doing recordings and stuff for people and producing it again. So anyways, I apologize. World's longest answer. You ask a 5-second question and 10 minutes later, I'm still going here.
You get a story.
Yeah, it's great stories. Yeah, definitely. So with your voice, you're known as a voice actor rather than having a radio voice, right? So that correct everyone. He hasn't got a radio voice, right? Radio is one thing. He has a voice. He's a voice actor. So he does all different types of voices, for commercials and for whether it's a radio announcing. And all stuff like that. So tell us, Matt, what kind of work have you been involved from top of EVGA? Tell us a little bit about the industry, the radio stuff as well, and of course, being commercial announcements and stuff like that.
Okay, and you guys, we need a little secret code, like you tap your ear if my story's going too long and you just don't want to interrupt me or say shut up. Getting it already, and that's all the time we have. Thanks for joining us. No, so when I was a kid. You're thinking, oh, God, this is going to be a long story. He's back in childhood. No, so when I was just a kid, my father worked in the TV station. And so after school, this TV station was right near the school. What I would do, and I lived out in the country, instead of going home on the school bus, I'd kind of go over and hang out in the TV station a bit. And I got a kind of the bug, if you will, for seeing these same people that are reading the newscasts on television and doing the commercials. Just seeing this short little guy that's 4 feet tall, thinking he looks so big on TV and it looks so fancy, and they're all sitting like a foot away from each other, but it looks like this huge space on TV. So that whole magic of broadcasting struck me as really interesting. But it was years later that I was working part-time at a grocery store, and I was packing groceries for a little old lady. And a lot of the other people that worked in the store were afraid to talk on the microphone, but I would say stuff like, "Attention shoppers, your lights are on if you drive a brown Chevy pickup truck," or whatever. And I would just kind of make up this voice, right? And so as I'm packing this little old lady's groceries one day, she said to me, "Do you work on the radio, dear?" And I said, "No, I don't. I'm like 18 years old, packing her groceries." She said, "You really should, dear. You have a really nice voice." So that gave me the confidence to go to apply to a local radio station in this small town. And it was a really tiny station. And they said, "Do you have any experience?" "No." "Do you have any broadcast training?" "No." And they'd laugh, and they take me down the hall and they stick me in this little booth. They hand me some paper that had some scripts on it for commercials, newscasts, weather forecasts, that sort of thing. And they said, "Why don't you read this and we'll listen to it." And so I said, okay. So they left this little soundproof room. I'm all by myself, and I sat down and started reading it. Put on my broadcast voice kind of thing, right? And so I'm like, blah, blah, blah. "Tomorrow will be sunny with the views clear." And so when I left, I thought, well, that was fun, but that sucked. Nothing's going to come of that. So I drive back out to the country. I'm still living at home with my mom. She comes running out of the house when I got home and said, "You got to call the radio station. You got to call the radio station." So I thought she was kidding with me. And she said, no, you really got to call them. And then I thought, oh my God, did I break something? And so I called them up, and I said, "Hi, I'm the guy that was in there." They said, "We started listening to your recording, and we went out to see you and to chat with you, but you had already left. We want to offer you a job at the radio station." I'm like, "Are you kidding?" And they said, "No, when can you start?" I'm like, "I'm on my way." So I started part-time at that station. They taught me everything, how to work everything. And that's what got me into being on the radio. Again, my stories could go forever, but back then it was early 80s. And so there were no computers that you can play your songs on. You played a 45 RPM record. So each song is about 3.5 minutes long. Really fun when you're on the air for 6 hours and you got to go to the bathroom. And so you start this 3-minute song and you run down the hall and run back and try not to sound out of breath. And but anyways, at the end, it was computers. By the time I left, all your songs were on a computer, and literally the station could be empty for hours at a time, and announcers would just record their bits and go, and you could be sitting at home listening to a show you did 2 days earlier. So it really changed a lot over the years, for sure.
Wow. So I guess for the younger kids out there, this is where disc jockey came from, because you had to run as fast as you could around the track to get to the bathroom and then get back. So there you go, disc jockey. And that also, went to the CD era as well too, I bet you.
Yep.
No, wait, no, the CD era were just changers, right?
Yeah, I bet you were still playing a CD, so it's the same thing.
Okay.
But there was a little trick that announcers did, and the wise old ones at the time passed on the advice. It's like, if you really got to go to the bathroom, there were certain songs that you would play that were really
Guns
long.
Roses.
Like, Stairway to Heaven would be like 7 minutes long or something, right?
November Rain.
Yeah, and so it would be really funny because you'd be playing on this station that might be sort of, an easy listening station or something, and it's like, you couldn't play that song, but you'd be looking for the longest, no matter how bad this song was. It's like, oh, good, that one's 6 minutes, 42 seconds. Okay, I can do that. It's funny. And I mean, it really was a terrific job, and people were sweet, and they taught me so many things. And it went from being on the air as an announcer to doing commercials. I started really enjoying. Then I got an opportunity to do TV commercials. And the most exciting thing, I think one of the most things I was the most proud of, was the local TV station when I moved to Halifax was looking for a voice, like their station voice. that did everything. And that was amazing because you'd go in and it would be next on Oprah. Are you someone who does whatever? And it wasn't just voice in a record. You would see like a picture of Oprah on there, or, you know, or you'd be doing a TV intro for some show and they're showing all the clips and like the Grammys this Sunday night at 8 featuring Bruno Mars. And you know, Bruno Mars would be on your screen. And I thought, oh man, this is the most coolest, most awesome voice work thing ever. So yeah, I did a lot of things. I did artist interviews, did recorded shows, wrote shows, did live broadcasts, did introductions at like movie theaters or, you know, whatever, like all that kind of stuff.
I like that introduction of the movie when you say, yes, in the distance, you know, the galaxy far, far away.
In a world.
In the world.
In a world. Yeah.
Oh, so how old were you during the stage? Because I noticed that you did the granny voice pretty good, but you never actually did your teenage voice with the cracking. Maybe you didn't have that because you were like straight on the voice acting and everything.
It's funny. So no, when I started on the station, on the first station, I was 18 years old. Okay. Still got the glasses, but I'm this skinny kid that weighed about like 90 pounds, you know, with bad kind of 80s hair that was like a mullet, you know, short in the front and long in the back, and my big Google. Well, the big glasses are back now, but right?
Oh, yeah.
What a hard looking unit. But I swear to God, that is where the term face made for radio came from, because people couldn't see you. Right. And if you had a halfway decent voice, people are sitting there thinking, oh, that guy's wearing a suit and tie and he's like 35 years old. He's probably got blonde hair and like a nice strong chin. And instead, it's like this pimply faced kid there, like sticking pizza in his face between records. And yeah, so it's neat. There's like a whole mystique where people don't know what you look like. So you can kind of create your personality and people have no idea. And you can walk by them on the street and no one knows, which is why it would be hard to be a real celebrity where, you know, you're having your dinner and you're Keanu Reeves or something and people are like, excuse me, can you sign my arm? And it's like, leave me alone. And then if you're rude to them, people are like, that guy's a dickhead, right? I could walk down the street and no one knew. I was just that pimply faced 18-year-old kid. They had no idea.
Hey, Matt, that's a question I wanted to ask. So you're doing all these different types of commercials, broadcasts, announcements and things like that. And as a voice actor, you have to put on certain type of characters in your voice, right? For example, like I said, doing a commercial radio and stuff like that, and then you do announcements at a party, and then doing movie scripts and whatever. But you have a voice you have to kind of put into a character, right?
Yeah,
different types of.
I mean, there could be 1,000 different voice actors, and no one is really good at everything. So you get more to be more of a niche thing, and you find where your strengths are. So I can do a few variations on things. But, you know, I mean, if you want a child actor for your TV thing, your best thing to do is hire a kid, not some guy who's almost 60 going, hello, you know, and putting on this stupid fake voice, right?
It's a little creepy there, Matt.
Yeah, right? Stalker. Doesn't sound like any kid I know. Better call parent services or something on that.
That's no child. That's a man.
But part of the whole acting thing, I guess what I mean, though, is you have to learn to kind of adopt your energy to what the job or the expectation is. And I'll give you an example. Let's pretend you've got a voice that sounds, I don't know, like this. And then someone, here's a perfect example. The first radio station I worked at was so small. The mice were hunched back. No, I'm kidding. It was so small that you would read funeral announcements and death announcements. All right. So you had to have a different energy in presentation instead of going, now the number one song on the top 40. You can't be saying, you know, and Mrs. Murphy just died of cancer, right? So you had to have more empathy in your voice and concern, you know, and it would be the remains, and it couldn't be too sad, but it would be like the remains are resting at this funeral home. And so you have to change your mood and your energy. If it's a car dealership, they always wanted what was known as hard sell, right? So it'd be, tell them to get in here. There's never been a better time. Top dollar on your trade, right? And whereas if it's a bank, right? It's true, though. Whereas if it's a bank, you can't be screaming at people going, give me all your money. Buy a house. It's more like you have to have that kind of trustworthy, we've been doing this for 35 years, and your investments are safe with ABC Bank or whatever it is, right? So that was when I say different voice acting, it's more just interpreting kind of what you're trying to, not just, you're trying to lift the words off the paper and suit the mood. And another example is if you're in a quiet room like now, I can speak quietly. But if I'm standing in a stadium that has 50,000 people on it and you're bringing the person on stage and there's all this energy and people are like waving their phones all lit up, you can't be going, and now, please welcome the most important singer of the room. Right? So you got to scream and raise the energy up. So that's the biggest part, is it's not always your voice. It's kind of learning to deliver that whole...
It's almost like having that stage presence. You know, people like, having that stage presence to lift the crowd up, right? Using different types of energy and stuff like that. I did a little bit of that when I was at the trade shows. And of course, Stephen with his camera work, and, he's done other stuff for some radios and television. I haven't done much television stuff, but of course you two have more experience than I have. So definitely. Whatever energy is required for that particular script for that situation. So it all depends.
We are always told that if you think you have 100%, add 25% because it'll last you to the end of the segment.
Right?
Drink some more Red Bull.
Red Bull brought to you by Red Bull.
No, and both of you guys are way more comfortable on camera than I could ever be. And that's something that you have to learn to stare at the camera, and you probably have noticed I'm not doing that. I'm kind of staring around and not making direct eye contact and look probably shady. But you don't have to do that when you're doing voice acting or on a station, because you're just there in the mic and you get your script and you're reading it and blah, 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 and no one can see you. So I have great admiration and respect for you guys to be able to do that. And Winston, when you said I don't have much TV experience, you've got way more on camera experience than I ever did, because I'd hide in a room down the hall, right? And I was this disembodied voice that no one ever saw, where you're putting yourself out there. And takes a lot.
Some interesting story about myself. I did some dancing when I was young, when I was like teens, 17,
Dancing
18.
with the Stars? Winston?
Well, no, let's check this out. I was doing, because I was always into this dancing. It was more of a kind of street dance, hip hop kind of style. So we and my friends were doing a bit of dancing, and a charity gig. It was a charity gig. One of the guys says, "Hey, you guys want to dance?" And just random dance with some music. So we did that for a charity gig, and then I think one of the music producers that I don't know kind of come up to us. "Hey, you guys want to do some backing dancing?" I said, "Okay, that sounds interesting."
Wow.
Being a young kid, 17, 18, so yeah, this is fun. So we did that, and it was for a local singer. And she's just a local singer. It wasn't anything, great. But she was...
Local, like UK, right?
Yeah, UK, that's right, yeah. So, But she was a supporting, what we call a supporting act for a main event. And the main event was a group called Boyzone. Heard of them?
Oh, yeah, I remember those guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Boyzone. So they were famous at the time. So they had to do a lot of road shows to promote their brand, to promote their records and songs and stuff like that. So we did a road show locally. 5 towns. So we have 5 towns in Wales, kind of southeast kind of area. And we were touring with them. But I wasn't dancing with them. I was dancing for the girl who's a backing singer. So we did a lot of that as well. So a stage presence, it does make a difference. You need to have that stage presence. I did some of that kind of work. So I do know a little bit about that, but I don't know about, of course, singing voice. I'm just totally crap at that. I don't have the acting voice. I just, but I understand. So different energies, different kind of, definitely something that, we need to get that energy across to those audience. So
you kind of had to try harder, because Boyzone was like the UK cousin of the Backstreet Boys back
they
then,
were.
right?
They were competing. Yeah.
Backstreet Boys. And then you had in between there, you had 98 Degrees with Nick Lachey, and then some other groups and everything like that. But on either end, like, there was no comparison. Everyone dances to the Backstreet Boys,
right?
No one gets up for anyone else.
And now it's funny, you see them on stage, and it's like 25, 30 years later. Right?
Yeah.
Oh my
the
God,
Backstreet
is
Men.
that what they look like? Backstreet Men. Brought to you by Depends. You know,
now, all grown up.
Well, I'm talking about sponsors. Of course, if you like our content and you listen to our podcast, definitely help us out. Of course, we will do our best to give you that exposure and stuff like that. So yeah, sponsors, listen up.
Yes. Like, we can list a few. What are your dream sponsors, Winston? Like, could it be Long and McQuaid, Canada's source for musical instruments? Or could it be, like, Yamaha, because they make stuff?
That's right. And we can get Matt to do the voice acting for us
right?
as well.
Yes.
All we're going to need is a sample of each product that we sponsor. So, for example,
that's right.
This podcast is brought to you by Ferrari, Porsche.
Yeah. That's right. Give us a Ferrari.
You get a hat.
That'd be good.
You get a hat. Here's a hat.
I love it.
So cheap.
So Matt, for up and coming and budding kind of youngsters who wants to get involved with the radio or broadcast industry, what kind of advice can you give him or her? And of course, do you need any specialist equipment? And of course, with the voice, do you have to have practice, or do you just have to get that kind of distinctive voice? Acting voice on. So your thoughts, Matt?
I think everybody's different. So the industry has changed so much. When I started, there was an overnight show from midnight to 6, or even an evening show that you could do where there weren't as many people listening, so you could make your mistakes. You can't do that now in most places. It's a lot harder to break in. But there's a few things you can do. So one of them is most stations, especially in the summertime, look for interns, and they're short-staffed in the summer because people are going on their summer holidays. So if you can do something like drive the station vehicle out to the beaches and we're here at Crystal Crescent Beach, and the next 10 people get a free T-shirt and Frisbee and a bumper sticker or whatever. That's a small start. And normally with that, you're just doing it on a phone, right? So you don't need any specialty equipment. You're they've got you on the air back at the station, and you're like, and we're downtown at the corner of blah, 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 and we're giving this tickets to this away. So if you can get a job as an intern, that's a great way to get your foot in the door. Also, there's more things than being an announcer in a radio station. If you like playing music, you can maybe, or you have a thing for music, maybe you can be a music director. Or if you're someone who likes to write, you can write commercials and promos. If you're someone who's technically minded, you can solder cables and hook up studio equipment. So you can still find a way into that building and maybe start moving sideways into something else you want to try. So for equipment, the cheapest thing you would need, I suppose, is just a phone and do those live cut-ins on the air. If you want to take it up a level or two, one thing I would consider instead of radio is what you guys are doing. You can do podcasting, and for that, you can get away with a camera, a microphone. You've probably already got a computer. And just practice doing that. And the best feedback you can get are from people that you trust, that aren't just going to compliment you and tell you sound good to your face and then walk out and go, oh my God, he sucks. He's so ugly and he's so boring. So if you can find someone that is genuinely good at giving you feedback and say, I enjoyed your podcast last night, but I could hear the dog barking in the background the whole time. Or you kept scratching your left breast and it was erotic, but it was distracting. No, you know what I mean? So try that. Try Twitch and try and YouTube and maybe try tiptoeing it into it that way.
I think you made a very good point there, Matt. I mean, in this day and age of direct and instant feedback, one of the nice things about a medium like YouTube, Twitch, or any of those live streams is that if you have enough people, and I think this is a little bit more on the YouTube side, if you put up a video for the whole world to see, and YouTube has actually scanned your entire video, it's so creepy that using their AI, they're pushing it towards people that have watched the same or similar videos already. So they're going to push it to those people as well, too. Now, the feedback that you get is actually an instant notification of how you can improve. So a lot of people get very upset when someone gives them feedback, no matter what it is. And a lot of people don't have the tact to give you constructive feedback. They'll just say, oh, the audio sucks. It's up to you to figure out what it was, but chances are you know what it was, and then that's something for you to improve. So, don't take it to heart. Just realize that there was something wrong with the audio. Figure out what it is and fix it for next time. Then that way that guy will never come back. Because otherwise, he enjoyed the show.
Right? And that's so well said. And it makes you think you got to get a bit of a thick skin. Now, you always got to keep that open spirit where you'll take advice from people and not think, I've made it. I can never be better than this, right? So you got to keep learning and keep challenging yourself. But at the same time, you got to guard your spirit a little bit, because it's easy for people, especially in this day and age, to hide behind their keyboard and be very cruel. And it might be coming from a place of jealousy or insecurity on their end, instead of wanting to try to help you. Oh my God, I've seen some comments on people where someone will be playing their guitar and they're singing their heart out and they sound wonderful, right? And you read the comments and they're like, you suck, kill yourself. I'm thinking, oh my God, don't talk like that to people. Things you would never say to someone in real life. So beware of that. If you do get into doing public stuff and doing stuff on the internet, take the advice, but don't let people that are saying you're fat or, oh my God, you're the ugliest person I've ever seen. You got to kind of sift through that stuff and throw it to the wayside.
There's plenty of haters out there, and just do what you do best, and of course always read the positive comments, because the negative comments you got to ask yourself, what are they doing? Are they just sitting there just commenting, right? They're not doing anything, right? They're not even producing whatever. You're actually doing something active, proactive, right? And it's something that's creative. It's something that unique to you. And like I said, with Stephen and I'm really good at, say, one part of, say, the production, or whether it's content stuff. But it sometimes needs direction. And this is when you and Matt mentioned about, having someone to write the script, having someone to direct, that kind of stuff. And then you, the person, then to do the content and present or whatever. So it's a kind of tiered level, kind of, as you go into broadcast, and whether it's podcast, videos, YouTube's, whatever, there's going to be, you'll learn more, right? First of all, you're just on screen. Next, you realize, the content needs upgrading. And how do you do that? You write a bit of script so you know what to follow. And then you think, okay, maybe do I look at the script completely like this? All day, every day? No, but then you get that director or advice from the director to say, hey, look, you look at the camera a bit more, sound a bit more energy kind of stuff. It's certain parts of the content needs direction. So this is all gels together once you build up that confidence, and the more you do, the more you learn. It's like practice. It's like riding a bike, right? The more you practice, the better it gets. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think every generation of YouTuber, every generation of content creator figures out what has worked for the previous generation and builds on that. But everyone tends to think that these creators just kind of wing it. They actually don't. They actually do have a script or an outline behind them, because again, YouTube already knows what's in your video by the time it's scanned it and uploaded it. That means that the structure of your video is very important to engaging the audience, right? So if you're there's literally a heartbeat for your video that you can see in your engagement analytics, and this is very powerful stuff. It's like the Truman Show, but in real time. So you can actually see, okay, what you said over here sucked, but this was really good. But this was sucky. But this is really good, but this is sucky. Yeah. Then you take all those data points and you just put it into your next script, because you know your ins and outs aren't working. Try something new. Maybe you're taking too much time to get into your segment. Don't run that intro. Just jump right in. And don't leave yourself out of the process as well too. Like, some people are really great at what I call tucking and rolling. So these people will flub a line, but they actually turn it into something else and then come back into it. And I've worked with people like that. I'm not one of those people. If I have a script, I have to nail the line. But, it helps me to get better every single time to watch people like that, because now I'm inspired.
What's that word they use when all they need is a key phrase, and they look at that, maybe two words, and they just naturally just
ad-libbing.
Ad-libbing. Yeah. I mean, it's like,
I call it tucking and rolling.
Yeah, it's just amazing. They just look at two words and they just go off, and they're so natural to them. And again, I think it's practice makes perfect. I mean, like Stephen said, it's not just about just winging it. I mean, you could be natural at doing that, but then a lot of people new to the scene, it may take some time. So the more you do it, the more practice you have, you build up your confidence, and it becomes more natural.
Yeah. Practice structure and do it often. It's like Karate Kid. You know, you wax enough cars, you're going to get really good at blocking those kicks.
It reminded me of something when you said that. So one thing I used to do was I would get invited. There was 2 or 3 car dealerships in town that they had their choice of all these announcers, but they kept asking for me to come back. And part of it was... So, and it would be, on my end, it would be, okay, what do you want me to talk about today? They're like, just do your thing. And I'm like, and so you know what I mean? You need some information so you know what car they want to talk about, how much it is, what the incentives are to bring people in. And so sometimes they'd only give you, and it goes back to your ad-libbing thing, Winston, they'd only give you 2 or 3 things, like tell them free car mats today and a year's extra warranty. And it's like, oh, great. So I got 4 hours to fill. And free car mats. So part of it was, you had to ad-lib like crazy. So let's pretend it's a summer day and it's the first day of summer. And it's like, is your car tired and all rusted and broken down from coming through another winter? The potholes have it wrecked. Well, guess what? And here's where the car dealership energy comes in. Today is the perfect day to come get your new car from XYZ Motors, because now free car mats. And, but I mean, so you didn't have that written down stuff in front of you. You had to ad lib. Some people are good at that. Some people aren't. And it's the same as, you go to visit some of your friends' place. Some of them are cleaning all the time and everything is... The teapot, you can see yourself in it. It's so clean. And other people, there's underwear laying on the coffee table next to the pizza they just put out, and you're like, oh. So different people have different. I know there's pizza. A nice picture. No, so I mean, different people have their own strengths, and if you don't have that ability to ad lib, maybe you're the person that writes it, or maybe you're the person who's behind the scenes going. And you can think about it and come at it from a different side. But yeah, it's a fun industry, no matter how you come at it, putting yourself out there. So yeah, for anyone that wants to start out, there's a lot of enjoyment in it, and a lot of rewards for sure. Yeah.
Right. So with that, we need more sponsors. So if you like our content, guys, give us a sponsor. And of course, leave your comments down below. Also send us an email at itsourpodcast@gmail.com. Stephen?
We drink coffee too. We love chips.
Talking about coffee, any advice on, protecting your most precious asset, which is your throat and your voice?
You can't refuse.
If you're asking me, I don't have much because I love coffee. As a matter of fact, my favorite coffee is Tim Hortons. No, I do love Tim Hortons coffee. Some people are Starbucks coffee, whatever, but I love that. But they say that people who sing and use their voice a lot don't drink a lot of coffee with sugar in it. I guess sugar is bad for you. Hot lemon water is supposed to be really good for your voice, but come on. It's like, you want me to go sit in a car dealership for 4 hours and have a kettle and some hot lemon water? Or do you want to just bring me some Hortons coffee?
With loads of caffeine.
Right? That it gives you energy. Oh, and so that's the thing too. So, I mean, you can tell I'm old because I started in the 80s and stuff on the radio. I mean, I've tried a couple of energy drinks like the kids do, but it's like, I've tried Red Bull once. We were giving it away at the station, and so they had this little fridge set up in the break room that the sponsor always filled up for free, and you could have it whenever you want. I tried it once. I swear to God, I got about 2 sips into it, and I poured it down the drain. Now, if I'd have paid $4 for it, I might have kept trying to sip on it and see if it was an acquired taste. But it was vile. And it was like 18, no, I shouldn't say Red Bull. It was an energy drink. Sorry, there goes one of your sponsors.
Energy drink.
It was an energy drink. No, we'll call it Purple Cow. No, but it was like 18 spoonfuls of sugar in this can, and it just was not for me.
God.
But if that's what it takes to answer your question, how to look after your voice, if you need an energy drink, so you're not just kind of sitting like this in front of your show and being boring and low energy, and that's what you need to pump yourself up, then do it. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
don't smoke might be a good one.
Oh, yeah,
because when you smoke a lot, not only is it hard on your throat, but and I used to smoke too. This isn't one of these do as I holier than thou things. I used to smoke like crazy. But when you would try to read things quickly, when they would hand you a 30-second radio commercial, the first thing is you'd look at all these words, and there's like 45 seconds worth of words that you got to go faster, faster. So it's the faster you're talking. Oh my God! It used to sound like I was coming up for air, right? It would be, there's never been a better time to buy in right now at Worldwide Furniture. And you hear this big emphysema thing, and they'd all be cutting it out. The producers would be cutting your voice out. You know what I mean? They'd be cutting these big, right? You sound like Darth Vader. So maybe, yeah, I mean, if you got to smoke to calm your nerves or vape or whatever, do your thing. But just know if you want to do something like that for the rest of your life, that might not be the best thing you could be doing for your voice.
Yeah.
You know what? It's funny you mentioned the emphysema thing, because there was a YouTuber a while ago. He sang this song called Chocolate Rain.
Yeah. Taze on
And he would Taze on Day, and he would actually turn his head.
Yeah.
See, hear what it did? To take a huge breath,
yeah.
And then he would come back to. So that was his tip,
right? And again, I don't mean to chat way too much, but you know what? Mic technique is such a big part of getting better. Anyone could sit in front of their mic, but like bang into it, and the first thing you hear is this big boom. And if you don't have a filter or foam on it, every time you say a P word or a plosive, it sounds like someone goes. There's like big boom in your room, right? It's like.
Oh, and is that why they have that filter? Is that what they call
like these?
Pop filter? Yep. Is that right?
Yeah.
Filter.
So what it does is if
pantyhose.
you look at this closely, and this is just one, you can look at it from inside. It basically looks like pantyhose, like a woman's pantyhose, but it lets the air pass through it so they can hear your voice, and it doesn't sound like right? But it breaks up words like, so if you were working on a station where you went, power 97, when you play the recording back, it goes when you say your P word, right? So that's what this is for, or that's what the foam is for. Yeah, you need that. But back to the whole thing about the closer you get to a microphone, the bigger you'll sound. And a master of this, watch him if you ever get a chance to see him on stage. Two of them come to mind. Elton John. He's got this big ass voice, right? It's huge, right? He's like, he's right on it like this when he's singing. Yeah. And he'll turn back like, so if and I can't sing, but if he's going, I guess I won't even do it because it'll sound like that. But he'll sing some lines like this, and then he'll come way back here, or he'll turn his face when he's going, rah, the big loud part, and then he's right back in it again. And it's like he doesn't even think about it. He's just doing it. Lady Gaga's the same way, too. It's just they're right on. Whereas if the three of us, dare I say, tried that, we would just be like, you'd hear the little hair in the back of your throat moving, and everything what you had for dinner 2 days ago going in your stomach. So
I think that's called eating the mic, right? You eat the mic.
Yeah, but that's part of how some people get that really big sound. It's not like they've got this really deep voice. They sound like you or me or the person next door, but they're good at finding that sweet spot where they can get right on it and sound like, in a world where Arnold Schwarzenegger stars in. And they're like, and you see these people in real life, and you could be standing beside them and you can't even hear them. They're whispering, but they're so close they can just get right on it. And it's like, that's it. But again, you can't do that energy if you're in the big stadium trying to introduce someone. Right?
What you just did there, Matt, it looks like you need a lot of practice too. I mean, if I go too close like this, I'm like sounding all weird.
You run into your mic.
Yeah, I run into my mic. And then, I don't have any pop filter. This is just a gaming mic. So, but it's still better than what I had before. I'm talking about mics. I remember doing some trade shows before, and got my camera. And I've got this stupid, I think it was one of these microphones that attaches to your camera. And I didn't get that, so it's a directional mic. And I was just getting all sorts of background noise. I couldn't even hear my voice. And I decided to invest in a Sennheiser. And it was expensive. It was like $800, $900. I'm thinking, what? Do I really need it? But it's a wireless kind of lavalier mic. And my God, the sounds sounded so different. It was so crisp, so clear. It blocked up all the background noise, and I was even like 30 meters away, and it still picked up my voice crystal clear. And I thought, wow, what an investment! And this is something that people do realize. You need to realize that you need to buy expensive to get kind of the return. Definitely.
Buy it
Right?
nice.
You're
or
too
buy
poor
it
to buy
twice.
cheap. Buy nice, buy twice. You're too poor to buy cheap. Like everything costs money, especially post-production, right? Like, let's just imagine for a second that someone had to EQ the snot out of your voice after the show segment was aired, and they couldn't retrieve your voice. Then you'd have to go in and re-record everything because it's an unusable track. You'd have to call something called ADR, which is dialogue replacement.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you would have to talk all over again. They do that in films all the time because someone swore or someone said something that was not right or they had to change a line or something like that. And these are all things that cost a lot of money. If you can get what you get in the camera or in the audio right away, so taking care of like the things that you were talking about earlier, it's like quiet room. Making sure no one's around.
Yeah.
Kids are not yelling and, like everything's just kind of perfect. Then you can have your best performance and lots of caffeine.
Right. You know what? That reminded me. Can I show you something that I made?
Yes.
When I left radio broadcasting, the studios were all soundproofed, and so there could be a truck going by outside, you wouldn't hear it. When you spoke, it was just a nice, quiet, neutral room. But if you ever have sung in the bathroom or gone into an empty, say, apartment, and you go hello, and it's like everything echoes and reverbs. When you try to record your voice in an environment like that, you have no definition, no presence. It's lost in this quagmire of echo that's in the room. It's horrible. So the first thing I did, after I bought a nice mic and bought a nice microphone preamplifier, I plugged it in and I thought, okay, let's go. And it sounded crappy. And then it's like, so I started doing research and it's like, oh, you got to treat your room to get rid of all those echoes. So, and then I found out how much it costs to have people in to do that. And I thought, oh, I've always been a do-it-myself kind of person. So what I did is, and I'll show you the back of it first. So this is Roxel insulation, available at Rona and Home Depot. No, so Roxel insulation that you would put in your walls. It's great at getting rid of sound. And we all love coffee, right? So this is a bag that coffee beans come in. So I made a wooden frame, put my insulation in there. I can hang it on the wall so it's not too ugly. But so there, I made that sound panel. So, and if you look in the back behind me, see the brown one in the back there that I'm sort of pointing to? Mm-hmm. I basically made sound panels myself and stuck them on the walls. So when you make a sound, it's not so much for keeping sound from outside from coming in, but when I make a sound or yell or do something loud in here, it hits it and it disappears instead of reflecting back and bouncing all over every wall.
Yeah, it's all physics, right? It's the angle of incidence equals the angle of refraction.
Yep.
Ooh. Did I get that right?
Yeah. One way to look at it, too, is imagine instead of my voice as a flashlight, it's not just focused in one spot. As you're talking and you're looking and you're doing your thing, it's shining on the ceiling, it's shining on the floor, your desktop, it's bouncing everywhere. So the more things you can do to, when it hits behind me, it stops. Right? If it hits, if this is behind the mic that you can't see or the camera, it stops. Little things like that. And you can make them cheap. I mean, so the coffee bag was free. The insulation, it was like $50 for a bag that was enough to do the whole house up here, up top. And then you just get some pieces of wood or and a stapler. And so, so that kind of cool.
Is that why when you speak on a mic in an open kind of a large living room, for example, where there's lots of space, the sound can travel a little bit further. But if you're in a small room, when you're in a closed door and you're speaking, pretty loud and the voice just bounces back and stuff like that in the room. So that's probably why, right? Yeah. Okay. And there's some advice there.
Wow. Different type of mic. So the one that Stephen is on right now, if everyone looks at it for a second, there's two of the things we were talking about. One of them is he's got the foam, which is on it, which stops the plosives, the popping of the P's and stuff. But that mic in particular is wonderful. It's called rejection. It rejects a lot of the stuff off to the side and around him. So if it did echo off something against the wall, where he's got it and the way he's sitting in front of it, it's basically, it's right on him. That he's right in the mic sweet spot and everything's good. So if you were at a trades show, Winston, and you were, say, at PAX East that just went by in Boston, you can't ask all the exhibitors and all the people milling about to, can you guys keep it down? I got to record something over here. A mic like that particular one is wonderful I'm right in front of it. It's picking me up primarily, and you just hear a little bit of murmur in the background. Where some mics, like I'll show you this one. I love this mic. This is a large condenser microphone. Oops, I'm too far away. But this, when you have that on, you can hear the kids down the street, the dog panting when they're walking by. And it's like, oh my God. You can hear someone start their car 2 streets over, right? So everything in its place. If I was in a quiet recording studio or a nice treated room, oh my God, it picks up every nuance and everything wonderful. But there's times where you just want to get a mic that's and that's why I love that Shure microphone. That's like a desert island mic that works on everybody in every situation, and it's worth the investment instead of $50. You spend $500 or $600 for it.
So it's like Steven's like forcing me to get one of these now, huh?
I'm forcing you to upgrade. Winston, I just bought a Porsche. What are you buying next?
Man, come on. I got to save up.
But, okay, so what you said there about mics, it's actually not just about buying the right mic to get your voice. I'm actually way more comfortable at this distance than I was in the other with the other mic. I can turn it down. I can adjust the gain. It takes everything I throw at it. I'm very comfortable sitting here right now, and I think that my audio is okay, right? I mean, it's not too loud.
No.
But it's also not distant. Before, when I was on the other mic, it would pick up everything behind me, so I would have to talk over that too, right? So it's like, did you guys hear that?
Because your old mic, you leaned back, and it was like
it was like it would fall right off. But you know, this still falls off. You should be like a fist or even a couple inches away. You need to eat this mic, right? That's just a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's amazing actually how it can get that kind of sound.
But there's nothing back here. Like, can you hear the snapping?
A little bit,
like very faint.
But
right? There's nothing there.
But when you watch some streamers, for example, it's the easiest thing because not people are going to let you. Can I come into your TV station or radio station and watch for it? No, creepy bastard. But when you watch people you'll see it more on Twitch. The further they are from their mic, generally, not always, but generally, you hear more of the room. Right?
That's right.
So you'll
hear,
if I'm back here talking to you instead, all of a sudden you start hearing it reflecting off the computer desk or whatever. But again, when you get nice and close, so I can't even remember where I was going with this exactly. But yeah, there's a thing about getting close, and if you do have to work it close, just make sure you've got a foam or a filter or something in it so you can not have all the noise all around you and but again, if you're
the proximity effect is what they call it, right?
But I appreciate too. We did the whole buy it nicer, buy it twice thing. If you're just starting out, if you would have gave me that advice when I was 18, it's like, I'm sorry, I don't have $500 for a mic. My car costs $500, right? I get that not everybody has the money to do that. So, I mean, you can always rent from a place like Long and McQuaid for like $20-$30 and go, can I try this one? Can I try that one? Oh, this is nice, before you throw all your money at it. Or make sure that it's something you want to do. I just spent $4,000 on outfitting my home studio, and they told me that I sound awful, and they meant it.
Or that I suck, and they were right.
What do you mean it can't be? Right? It's like, so, I mean, so before you throw all your money at everything, you know, be aware of what you're getting. It can be, it's like anything, though. You see some people that they're into their cars, and it's like, I just spent $8,000 for my rims, for my wheels. It's like, really? You know, or my exhaust system costs $3,000. It's like, oh.
Yes.
If you've got a passion and a hobby, go for it and knock yourself out. But know that it can be one of those big black holes that sucks in all your money if you get addicted to buying studio equipment.
It's so true.
Yeah,
so
do
true.
some research and, of course, get some advice from people who are actually into podcasts, already have their own podcast show. You can send them an email, ask questions, drop a comment. And, of course, we're here to help as well. So if you have any questions about equipment that you want to get in, you know, start podcasting and stuff like that, of course, we and Stephen, Matt will answer those questions. But,
it's really rare to have such cool places like Along McQuaid, please sponsor us, Along McQuaid, where you can actually rent the gear because, I mean, this microphone may be the microphone for most people, but it's not for everyone, right? Some microphones just sound so much better on other voices. It just so happens to suit me okay.
Yep.
Right. And I like what I'm hearing.
Yep.
But if you have a voice that is particularly thin or particularly boomy, you might need something different to really accent your voice. And that's okay to try a bunch of stuff. But like Matt said, don't go out there and spend $4,000 immediately. You spend enough or rent. Renting is okay. Spend $100 for 4 weeks. I mean, you can get a mic for $20 for the week. Try it out. Oh, no, don't like this one. Next one. At least that way you've got 4 weeks of podcast under your belt with 4 different mics. Right?
Before the topic changes, if you can indulge me with mics for a second or two, I love microphones because remember I said I didn't so much enjoy sitting in the room and just playing the same songs over and over. It's like, okay. Yeah. I liked going into the studios where they were creating things and all the gear, and it reminded me of going into the TV station when I was a kid and seeing the big cameras and the overhead lights and the big consoles and everything, the meters moving. It's like, whoa, that's what I like. So I bought a bunch of mics over the years, and even if I only use them once or twice, it's like, hey, I bought one of these. So I'll show you a couple really quickly, because I know not everyone's passionate about it. So this is a Neumann microphone. Neumann is a German company. They started in around, I think, 1928 in Berlin. And I'll tell you a quick story about how they split. In the Second World War, Berlin got bombed by the Allied bombers. And so the Neumann company basically said, I'm not going to be in Berlin anymore. So they went to a little town, I think it's called Gefel. I'm not from Germany, or it might be Gefel. But either way, they moved there and they started making mics still under the name of Neumann. And then remember there was East and West Germany and there was the Russian side. And then, but anyways, so this is a Gefel microphone, which was made by Neumann. I just love Neumann mics, these German mics. So there's 2 that I have that at first when I started, I could never afford them and couldn't justify them. But it's like, oh, I got these. I love these. You mentioned your Shure mic, Steve, that you love so much. Yes. Shure started way back in 1925 in Chicago. Guy's name was Sidney Shure that started it. So this mic, I love old-timey mics. This is a Shure 51. They made these from 1947 to about mid-70s. All the Shure microphones always start with SM. So whether it's an SM7 or an SM51 or SM58, that stands for Shure microphone. But I saw this and I thought, I had a chance to get it for free, and I thought, are you kidding? Wow. Yeah. I've never used it because it's got some weird connection down the bottom that I've never figured out. But I have it just because it's like, hey, look, I got one of those.
So that's like the Elvis mic.
Yeah, it really is. You see, in the old-timey movies and TV shows, they'll come and go, now, please welcome, see, you won't take me alive, copper. They've got, like, these kind of things, right? And here is an electro voice microphone. This is called a 664. So they're from Buchanan, Michigan, and there's a bit of a funny story about these microphones. They were known as the Buchanan Hammer because they were so tough. Then when they would demonstrate them, when they first started selling them and they'd go to shows, they would pull out a nail and a board and they would use the mic to nail into the board, and then they'd plug it back in. God. And it's like, can you still hear me? Check 1, 2. And it would be. So that became the Buchanan Hammer. Electro Voice and Shure mics, they've been around forever, American companies. And that's, you know, when you see computer motherboards and stuff now, they say military spec. They're supposed to be tough and all these capacitors. These were true. Of course. That's where that came from. They had to be tough enough to go into, say, a fighter plane. And you know how noisy the big engines were, the prop engines and stuff? Yeah. So Electro Voice made the first noise canceling mic. It's just like we were talking about the noise in the trade shows and stuff. So you could be going, approaching target, I need more blah, blah, blah. And they would actually hear you instead of from the airplane engines, right? so that's an old Electro Voice microphone. So really old. That's from the like 50s and 60s and stuff. But now, Stephen, you mentioned different mics for different people. Yours that you see in radio stations everywhere and on Twitch news, you'll often see a lot of these too. This is also an Electro Voice microphone. So this is many years later. These are from the 80s, 90s now.
Sounds like a radio promo. Music from the 80s, 90s, and today.
I know a guy.
Yeah. But these are tough as nails, too. And same idea as yours. It's a dynamic microphone. It picks up stuff good and close, takes a pounding.
RE320?
You're very close. It's an RE20 because I'm old. The RE320 came after that. I believe they changed the magnet in it and made it more powerful, and that's what makes it a 320 now. But you'll see these on streamers, and they're black, and there's a... And anyways, anytime I see a mic on a Twitch stream or something, I'm thinking, oh boy, that would be cool to have. Meanwhile, I'm broke and I can't afford it, but it's just, yeah, but I gotta have one because they're black now, or they put a 4 in the number and where. So yeah,
special edition SE.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm such a noob when it comes to all this kind of audio equipment. Stephen, and
this is only the stuff that you see. This mic,
yeah,
like this is, there's stuff behind here that we haven't even talked about,
yeah,
and we don't even have enough time for this. Maybe we'll have Matt back for a whole talk about preamps and stuff like that, because if this has this blip where it goes up like this in the heartbeat from this video, we're definitely have to have you back for that.
Yeah,
that chat. That's because that's super interesting. A lot of people on YouTube, and just recently, a lot of the conversations about video quality, like B-roll and stuff like that, and audio quality, have been taking over some of the creator channels. So I think that that's a worthy conversation for us to have, to educate a lot more people on, well, you can have a $4,000 camera, but if your mic is $100, you're not going to get the viewers that you think you will.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we covered a lot of ground, but the first thing I think about doing anything like that is you got to be interesting, right? Because it's kind of like you got to be a good driver before you get sponsored and have a $3 million race car. If you take it out on the track and you hit the wall on the first lap, it's like, yeah, right? So,
yeah.
But yeah, it can get expensive, but oh my God, I love all the toys and different mics and things out there. Oh, yeah.
And I think we also have to be a little bit Jon Snow about it, where I don't want it. I don't want to be king. But here you are. You're doing a great job, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, looking at my equipment, it's basic stuff that you need to get online, to get broadcasting, to get your podcast done. It's very simple. I just got this mic. People use like gaming mics. That's okay. If you can only afford a gaming mic, which is, they're not cheap. They're 60, 70, 80, maybe $100.
They're very convenient. Very convenient.
They sound a lot better than your standard like earpods, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And definitely, this one, for example, this headset comes with a detachable microphone. Now that microphone from HyperX, and there's a few other headsets that come with microphones. They're good. They're okay, but when you speak to it, the actual sound that comes out of it, the voice is slightly different. It's that very gamey voice. Matt probably knows about it. It's, when you go on to like a Counter-Strike, Fortnite, whatever, PUBG, you got that gaming voice.
Yeah.
It's like that, And but with the streaming mic like this, it's different voice kind of sound. So it depends on what type of voice you want to broadcast, I guess.
Yeah, and there's times where you want that sound, right?
Yeah.
Let's pretend you're Activision, for example, and you're bringing out a new game, right? And so you might have the announcer voice at the beginning going, on October 14th, and then you have the cut to the sound of the guy in game going, I'm over at sea, spawn on me at sea. You don't want the guy who's doing that going, I'm over at sea, spawn on me at sea, right? You want that little, right? You want that little,
yeah.
My tank just went down.
I almost spit out my lemonade.
Right,
yeah,
no.
That's right.
No, so the more you have in your toolkit, or the more paintbrushes or quivers in your arrow, or whatever, like arrows in your quiver, get those mics and have fun with them. And there's a place for everything. Yeah, I mean, if you're gaming and you're in Discord and you're playing Battlefield, for example, or whatever, Fortnite, you don't need a $5,000 audio chain and soundproofing. No. You just need to spawn on me, right? You're screaming at it, and
yeah. Because I did do a live stream before with the headset mic, and one of the viewers says, "You sound different, Winston."
Yeah.
I said, "Do I?" My headset.
Is it good different or bad different?
I think they didn't get used to the mic voice from the headset. It was more of a gaming voice. And so I just switched it back to like this is the streaming kind of mic at the moment anyway. And I don't mean eventually I'll probably get a professional mic like Stephen.
Yeah, and I don't mean to go down a rabbit hole, because there's like but everyone's voice is a little different, and you can't just say, get this microphone, because if you've got a big boomy voice, you might want a mic that doesn't accentuate the bass in your voice, because then all of a sudden it's right?
Just muffled.
So, and yet if you have a thin kind of little voice like that, right, you might want one that's adding a not fake, but emphasizing the bottom end, so it gives you more of that presence. So, if anyone out there is confused, going, so what mic do I get? And that's what we were talking about earlier. If you can go to a place where you can rent it and throw $10 at it instead of $1,000, because the next thing you know, it's like, I bought 5 mics and I don't like any of them. It gets really expensive.
It happens, right?
Yeah.
And one of the nice things too is about renting is that you can go back and rent it again.
Yeah.
And it didn't cost you $5,000, right? And then you keep trying new mics, and then you're never stuck with that mic. You can always rent the new one for that once a week podcast.
Yeah.
And then everyone knows, like Winston, you changed your mic. How does that sound? Let me know. That's a talking point. That's a nice break.
Yeah.
I'm trying something new this week.
Can I tell you a funny story too, just about respecting equipment that other people have? I mean, let's pretend you get it in your head that the best mic in the world is this one, the Sennheiser 416, and you go, someone invites you to a studio to read a commercial, and you're going, all you've got is this, man. And then you wonder why they never call you back, because you were such a, right? You were so rude to them and so full of yourself. So, practice your craft and work with what you have. So once, I won't mention this person's name, and it just spoke to, it doesn't matter how many years of experience you have and how much you know, attitude is just as important as aptitude. So the station I worked for was doing a live, a 3-day broadcast from a local children's hospital to raise money. And so different people were showing up and talking. And so one of them, God love him, was this, he was a musician and singer that had won awards, and he was a great singer, great songwriter, loved his stuff. But when he showed up at the booth, so picture this, we're sitting in the hospital, you've got a table, you're not in a station, you're not in a soundproof booth, you don't have thousands of dollars of mics. You've got these little tiny handheld $50 mics, a little mixer with knobs on it that's 40 years old, and headsets with mics that you're handing to people. And so when he came, he wanted to show up and play some songs and help raise some money. That was wonderful and terrific of him. But he's like, do you have this preamp? No. Do you have this compressor and this sound chain for my guitar? No.
Oh, no.
Right? And so he at the end, didn't even want to go on because it's not his sound, right? And I'm thinking, oh my God, please just sit down with your guitar, play us a song, help us raise some money for the hospital. Meanwhile, this kid came up, I think it was the same day, who's about 12 years old. He had had cancer. The hospital cured him. So he became sort of a spokesperson for, I know it's terrible and I know what it's like, but this place is wonderful. And so he showed up with a little cheap guitar amp, an electric guitar that's about $100. And I introduced him and I said, we'll say his name is Kevin. This is Kevin. He's 12 years old. He's from Sackville, Nova Scotia. And he started playing Johnny Be Good, right, on his electric guitar. And it blew. Everyone in the whole place is screaming and clapping. And the phones start ringing going, oh, I want to give some money. And it was this most magical, it makes the hair stand up in the back of your neck. Here's a kid who didn't have experience, didn't have all the thousands of dollars of equipment, but he just wanted to do the right thing, and it was attitude, and that's what resonated with people, right? So, I mean, I know it's a bit of a tangent, but it's not always what equipment you have and how prepared you are and how many years you've done it and blah, blah, blah. It's like, if you're genuine, I think, and you're coming from the right place, people will identify with that.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, and Matt, you mentioned also, like I said, when you're doing, especially if you're doing broadcasts and podcasts and things like that, and you go into different places, especially now, I know Stephen travels a lot as well, and you could be in one place and you could be moving to another place. And tell us about, is it always good to have your own equipment? Like you mentioned, I think before, you have your own headset, and that could give you that audio rather than relying on someone else's equipment, right?
Yeah. One thing I would definitely urge anyone to invest in, and I'm going to show off mine, even though I'm wearing little headsets now, because I look goofy when I put these on. These And I know Stephen will recognize these right away. These are AKG, Austrian, from home of Schwarzenegger. These are AKG K240 DFs. I bought these many, many, many years ago, probably 20, 25 years ago. They still look like new because I don't throw them around. This is something I would urge people to get for two reasons. This is before COVID, long before COVID. But if it's just the studio issue or radio station headphones that they have sitting there, you might be following a person who doesn't have the best hygiene in the world on a hot summer day, that their forehead's all full of sweat, and they had garlic bread the night before, so they smell like garlic when you go to put them on.
A little greasy.
And just like mics sound different, every set of headphones you put on has a different sound. What I like about these is the first time I put them on, I thought, wow, that's giving me a really honest indication of what's going on. They're not fake. They're not too bright and tinny. They're not too bassy. They're just... So I know then as I'm getting close to or further away from the mic, oh, I'm boomy, I got to back up a bit, or oh, I'm too sibilant, I got to turn my head a bit. So yeah, get a good set of headphones, whether it's these or whatever. I would not advise one of those ones that rhyme, perhaps. No, I don't want to say anything in case you get sponsored. But there's some that have really fake bass, enhanced bass to them, right?
Yes.
Try to avoid that if you're doing work like that, because you'll go up to the mic like this and go, hello, check 1, 2. And in your headphones, you'll hear, hello, check 1, 2, boom, boom. Right? And you're thinking, wow, do I ever sound bassy?
I sound great.
Wow. I can't believe I didn't get the job. Don't they know how fantastic I sounded? And it's just right? Or other times you might sound really flat, like you got a pillowcase on if you got cheap headphones. So anyways, I don't mean to go off on a tangent to get yourself a good set of headphones. As far as buying the rest of the stuff, no, I mean, I suppose you could have a mic, but again, if you're going to someone's studio that hires you to do something, imagine you invited me on the podcast now, and the first thing I did was went, huh, and I started taking down your cameras and unplugging all your stuff because no. But yeah, from a hygiene standpoint, have a couple of things that you travel with you that you're going to, maybe a mic sock. If you know, maybe for example, that Steve, the mic you're going to is going to be, the studio is going to be the exact same mic you have. You might want to bring your own piece of foam. Yes. And maybe some rubber gloves to take the old one off, because God knows if the person behind it was
just going to take this up
and spitting all over it, right?
Here.
And
you're absolutely right. Yeah. You're absolutely right, because this mic, if we could do one of those spectrographic things where you're watching me talking to my mic, I have spittle everywhere. It's gross and disgusting, right? So if you can replace this, and you know the mic's in the thing, you can just bring a foam cover over it. You're absolutely right. And the other point that you made is that, and this is related to something we said earlier about comments and how some of them are very hurtful. Well, those headphones are basically a comment section. They're literally telling you, giving you feedback about exactly how much you either suck or need more EQ.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no, like it's honesty, right? A good set of monitor headphones give you honesty.
Yeah.
That's all they're there for.
Yep.
So I totally agree. I mean, I travel most places with a wired set of headphones. I have the HD25s. These are things that have actually shown me, or not shown me, but allowed me to hear exactly why Winston is not worried about his $900 Sennheiser mics on the show floor, because I am already hearing that I can hear every single word he's saying. He might be yelling a little bit because he thinks that he needs to yell louder, and I have to tell him to tone it down, right? Because I'm just giving him direct feedback from what's going on, because you still have to fix blown out levels, right? So I have to keep turning him down. If I have to keep turning him down, we got nothing.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So good headphones help everyone.
Yeah. I mean, again, gosh, you gave me some something to think about there for a minute. So when you are giving advice to people, I had one boss who was really good that I worked for, would always take the time to pay you a compliment, first or second, first two things they said before they whipped out the dagger and went, and by the way, right? So they might say, you know what, like for example, for your show, it's like, your content was great today. I really enjoyed that. And when you were talking about this, it made a lot of sense. Although I wouldn't have talked for 23 minutes about it or something, right? So you take that and go, oh, okay. Instead of, if that's the first thing you say, you put yourself out there and you're thinking, oh, how was that? It's like, you talk too much.
and you kept blinking, right? And you think, oh my God, I'm homeless and penniless and nobody loves me, right? And your self-esteem goes down the toilet. So try to find nice ways to encourage them, but still give them
constructive criticism, right? That's what it is. I mean, I've had plenty of people say, oh, there's no point doing your podcast, your live stream. Nobody's going to watch it. And it's no good content. But yeah, I just stuck with it. I'm sticking with it. I kind of give it a, I'm grinding.
You give it the
stuff.
grind.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
So slowly build up your content, build up your audience. It takes time. So
I'm smirking.
Yeah, I mean,
I was smirking because I got so many mics in front of me. I was going to reach for my coffee cup, and I almost grabbed this and took it. It's like,
stupid,
right? Oh my God!
But you're absolutely right. I mean, if you look at the majority of YouTubers out there that have had meteoric success, guess what? They had actually been working on that channel for 2, maybe 3 years. It's not the channel that they actually, they actually made famous. It was just a bunch of stepping stones to the point where I get it. I'm going to do it this way now.
Yeah.
Right.
Trial and error. They've learned from their mistakes in the past, and they've taken advice on how to improve. And it's a learning experience, and it takes time, and it could be 2 to 3 years before you hit that point. So me and Stephen are kind of starting off about a year before, and we've put everything together. And who knows, maybe another year's time, we'll see how we are. But definitely your comments and your feedback is important. So hit us up in the email at itsourpodcast@gmail.com. Of course, leave your comments down below in our stream. Yeah.
Lots of comments, lots of likes. Please, more likes than dislikes. It helps us with our
gentle.
psyche and our egos. Be a little bit gentle. We're fragile eggs.
Yeah.
So guys, listen up. When you hear a distinctive voice in commercials, game intros, movies, videos, and so on, it could be someone that you know, or you put a voice to that, a face to that voice. So, so thank you, Matt, for joining our podcast. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much. And Stephen?
Where can people find you, Matt? Like, I know you're not big on social, but please let us send you some fans, adoring fans.
Honestly, so here's the thing: when I worked so long in radio, no one ever knew who you were, and I enjoyed this whole kind of this mystique where people don't drive by in traffic and go, "You suck! I hate your music." So I never embraced the whole. I'm not on Facebook. I have a face for radio, not for the internet or for television. The only thing I can think of is I'm on Twitter until we'll see what Elon does with it in the coming months and stuff. But for now, I'm on Twitter. So you can hit me up there if you like. It's at PIGG Radio with 2 G's, PIGG Radio. But beyond that, I'm not on much of the social media stuff, but I appreciate coming on your show. And another thing I'm not crazy comfortable with, but because I like the two of you guys, I agreed to come on camera, even though it makes me uncomfortable, and I've probably been staring everywhere but the camera. But I thought it was important to pay back some of your kindness and come on and chat with you guys today.
Sure, no problem.
Get me over my fear of cameras here.
You're doing great, sir. You're doing great.
So, Stephen, where can we find you, Stephen?
Oh, I'm also on the Twitters. I probably will stick around for the long haul. I don't care what Elon does. It's always a nice thing to see how the zeitgeist is like what's going on in the world and how people are thinking. So I'll back up when I have to. I'll lean in when I need to. And I am at Stephen Fung on the new Elon Tesla platform.
That's smart. That's
Twitter.
Smart. And here I am saying, things about billionaires. Probably not the wisest career move I could have done there. You've taken a much more
sponsorship.
Yeah.
This commercial is sponsored by Tesla and Elon. Anyway, you can also find me at Winston Chim on Twitter as well as Instagram. Again, that social is nothing to do with tech stuff. It's all personal stuff, fashion. I like my expensive tastes, so you can find me there.
Pictures when he was a pole dancer many years ago, as he said earlier in the podcast.
Backup dancer. Backup dancer.
Strip pole. By the way, if you'd like to sponsor the refurbishment of Winston's strip pole, which needs a couple of $1,000s in it.
We need some starlights and kind of like twiddly things.
Sparkles.
Make it all
sparklers. Yep. Pasties.
Yeah.
We need a bit of bling bling.
Right?
All right. So great. Thanks, Matt, for joining the show. And of course, guys, don't forget to leave your comments and also hit us up on the email. It's our podcast show at gmail.com. In our next podcast, we'll talk about the podcast equipment that you need, some basics and some advice as well. So, watch out for that. Stephen?
Yeah, and if you want Matt back and there's something that you heard in this particular podcast that you really want to kind of dive deep and peel back the layers, you let us know and we'll invite Matt back.
Who was that
right
musician that was really hard to work with? No, I'm kidding. No.
Oh, we should have some guesses below. If they guess correctly, maybe we have to give them something. What do you think, Winston?
Yeah, it'll be a live performance by that person who will actually show up at your house, but then he won't actually perform because it's not up to. No, I'm kidding. That's expectation.
Is this person Canadian?
No, I should really mind my P's and Q's. Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll definitely we'll keep it at the wraps.
Okay.
Right.
So that's it, guys. So thanks for joining, and we'll see you in our next podcast. So bye-bye.
Bye.